The course subject intends to offer a comprehensive approach to crowd and crisis management in the hospitality industry to understand why some situations occur and look at the key area of prevention and how to cope with emerging crises. It also discusses strategic dimensions and operational techniques to ensure sustainable development for those working in the tourism industry and those enjoying this sector's services. The tourism and hospitality industry is like no other economic sector challenged by negative events. Its above-average sensitivity towards these kinds of occurrences has given it such an exposed position that it already serves as an early warning indicator of critical situations for other sectors. The destinations and businesses active in tourism and business industry have to face these challenges. Some years ago, companies could consider negative events as extraordinary and less likely. However, the developments of the last decade indicate the necessity to make crisis management a permanent part of the practical and scientific considerations. While doing so, organizations are confronted with the fundamental difficulty that despite the best intentions and highest efforts of prevention, risks cannot be completely controlled and therefore totally excluded. By the end of the chapter, the students will be able to obtain an overview of developments which are influencing the tourism sector, to understand the importance of the study of crisis management, to understand the influence of climate change on the natural environment and the consequences for tourism. As far as the national economy is concerned, the tourism industry has, in many countries, achieved such a leading position that it counts as one of the most important sources of income and foreign exchange. This growth will continue in the future and will contribute to make tourism the most significant industry in the world. Besides, tourism is, like no other industry, in a position to create prosperity and economic development opportunities even for places that would otherwise be considered as difficult to develop. However, the positive development of the tourism industry is gradually being threatened by negative events. Incidents that have taken place in the recent past had economic consequences which were previously unheard of in other economic spheres. The reasons for the increased appearance of crises are complex. However, a first analysis shows that there are different areas contributing to this rising number of negative events. Among the first-ranking influences is the fact that living conditions in the most important source markets are changing at an increasing speed. These fast changes become especially clear when one looks at the social developments from a very early perspective. The living conditions of humans, demographic developments cause insecurities, which were previously dealt with by traditional family communities but are now resting with the individual. This represents an enormous challenge for the individual. Therefore, we can observe that more and more occurrences, which are normally considered as dangers, are now labeled as risks. While dangers are sourced in the environment and cannot be influenced by man, risks are often traced back to decisions and are associated to individuals. It remains to be mentioned that human beings are creatures of habit. What man has learned once, he aims at continuing. Man has difficulties in adapting and absorbing all the changes in the technical environment as fast as they take place. Eruptive changes are the consequence, and there is a natural defense reaction that needs to be overcome. This is very often only possible when situations are carried to an extreme. To natural changes, man has always attempted to become independent from the powers of nature. Technological progress has helped him in this effort, but this progress can be partly considered a result of this continuous effort of independence. However, despite these intensive efforts, the powers of nature cannot be controlled fully. There are several important reasons that explain this increasing number of natural catastrophes. There is the exponential increase in world population and the developments linked to it, such as urbanization, water shortages, and use of exposed areas. Interestingly, those catastrophes, which have geological origins such as earthquakes or volcanic eruptions, remain constant in numbers. Differently, those catastrophes, which originate from extreme weather conditions such as floods, windstorms, landslides, Cold spells, forest fires, are increasing constantly. Without any doubt, the climate change is also playing a fundamental role in the increase of natural catastrophes. Today, we can observe some of its consequences: melting of glaciers, shortage of snow at traditional ski destinations, warming of the oceans and the resulting increase in the water level of the oceans, but also the increase of floods through extraordinary rainfalls and storms in areas which were until recently spared of these occurrences. Our extreme confidence in technological achievements has caused natural events to trigger not only more often but also stronger damages than necessary. As most of the engineering measures help to protect us against floods or make buildings earthquake resistant, they at the same time make us forget that these measures bring little to protect us against larger events.